Folks, welcome here to this channel. Greetings to all of you. I need to start out with an apology. I had not done my math very well, and what happened was, as I said, that 9 months was from October 7th to June 7th, when I should have said July 7th. I made the mistake. It was my goof. And I do apologize to all of you for that. It was just a mistake. However, this gives me an opportunity to kind of give you a little more background on me. Some new people here, but many of you have not heard this in a long time, and I need to say this. This because of some of the replies. This will help straighten those out. And that is I consider myself in the pew with you folks. I don't come from behind a pulpit. I don't have any, out-of-body experiences. I don't have any prophetic dreams. I've never written a book. I'm just, what I'm saying here is I'm just basically like you. But I do teach, and that's another thing that we have to understand here. I do teach. When I read scripture and I see something happening in the news, I put the two together and then I tell you that's teaching. But that's my belief. And then I always say to you, you don't take my word for it. You go to scripture and figure that on your own. That's why I give you the scripture. Because I don't teach with any authority. Okay, the book, the Bible, that's the authority. So what we do is we try to interpret it. So you see, I'm no different than you. And then, of course, the part that is the best is we have fellowship here, and that's the reply section. What a wonderful thing we have going. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that I don't consider myself in any way any type of authority. So I want you to remember that when you see it, you have to make up your own mind. One last little thing that I'll throw in there that most of you have already figured out, if I haven't even said it once a long time ago. I am dyslexic. I cannot sometimes change things around when I see them backwards. Even if you tell me to and I go to change it, I'll go right back again. It's being dyslexic. I can't do anything about it. So I've learned to live with it. And so I made a lot of mistakes in the past. I'm going to make more in the future. And ever so much thank you for just understanding. It's going to happen. These videos, I don't edit them. So even if I make a mistake, there isn't anything I can do about it unless I take the whole video down and remake it or I edit it, the thing. For me to edit a video would probably take better part of a half a day. I'm just not good at it. And when it gets all done, I don't like it. I would rather just speak right from my heart. Okay, let's move on. I want to get into the news today and what it is that we're seeing, and this is important, is we're seeing the end of the war. Coming up in the day after the end of the war, a decision is going to have to be made. And that's where everyone is coming from in the news out there today. Most importantly is an attempt at a ceasefire. I've got an article, if you don't mind, I'm just going to skip read it. But the article is actually is in Times of Israel, and it's labeled. I have this crossed out because a lot of stuff I'm not going to go over. Okay, so in a joint statement on Saturday, Qatar, the United States, Egypt, mediators in an ongoing discussion to secure a ceasefire. I'm pretty sure that's the headline, and you can read this in its entirety if you want to go to the Times of Israel. It's right there. I'm going to place this like this and turn this like this. There we go. All right, I'm going to just, again, highlight parts of it. If you decide to read it, you can go there, and here it is. It would also see the release of a number of hostages in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jail. Israel and Palestinians would then negotiate for a lasting ceasefire. I crossed that out, but I'm reading it anyway. With a truce to continue as long as the talks are ongoing. Biden administration is pushing very hard for this, folks. Netanyahu offered a safety net. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken called his counterparts and says where? Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, etc. And the far-right parties vow to bring the government... Got to get the paper straight, don't I? Friday, to press the deal on Saturday, spoke with Qatar, Egypt. Okay. UN Chief Guterres strongly hopes the latest development will lead to an agreement by the parties for a lasting peace. And this is being said more and more about the ceasefire attempt at a truce, ceasefire. Netanyahu took issue with Biden, insisting, according to the exact outline proposed by Israel, the transition from one stage to the next was conditional and crafted to allow it to maintain its war aims. This is a blatant, outright lie. If they get Israel to stop the war, they will do everything they can to not allow him to be able to continue it. If I know this, Netanyahu knows this. This is flawed from the very beginning. Opposition leader Yair Lapid said the government cannot ignore Biden. This is pressure from one of the coalitions within the Knesset. This is pressure being put on Netanyahu even greater. And you're going to see here in a minute what's going to happen. Should accept the proposed deal, vowing to back Netanyahu if its far-right coalition partners quit over it. What he's saying here is that, well, let's get down here. Right here. It's right here. Finance Minister Smotrich and Gvir, leaders of Israel's parliament, two extreme right parties, said they would leave the government. And that's what he's talking about right here. He's saying, from our coalition, we'll back you. So you don't have to worry about if these two say they're going to leave, because this would take the power away from of Netanyahu, and it would end up having to be called to for another election. So you see the pressure, again, is my point. And the war's coming to an end, and Netanyahu has to make these decisions. Okay? Far-right parties vow to bring down the prime minister if prime minister backs the hostage deal. So the far-right is saying, no, you keep the war going. Qatar, Egypt, and the U.S. mediators called on Israel and Hamas Saturday to finalize the truce deal outlined by Biden, which said Jerusalem was offering a new roadmap towards a full ceasefire. What they're saying is they're offering this to him, to Jerusalem, that this new roadmap towards a full ceasefire. But they're saying you can still have accomplished everything you want by Netanyahu. So let's go on. This will explain it better than me, I think. Shortly after Biden's announcement, Netanyahu released a statement insisting that Israel would pursue the war until it had achieved all aims: the destruction of Hamas's military governing capabilities, freeing of all the hostages, and ensuring that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. So they're saying that Israel is saying that this is what they're demanding right here, which is a full ceasefire. And Israel officials speaking to the Times of Israel on conditions of anonymity, however, said the Israeli proposal ensures that Israel can achieve all of these conditions before the permanent ceasefire takes effect. This is a lie. Once Israel should agree to any type of a slowing up, stopping the war, it costs Israel a lot of money just to have soldiers even just sitting there. So they're going to want to clear some of them out. And this leaves the possibility of trying to bring them back in again being thwarted by other nations. They're going to stop Israel so they can't continue the war. But you see what they're doing is they're promising Israel, you see, don't worry, if the conditions aren't met, if Hamas backs out of this, you can go back into that war again, knowing full well, and Netanyahu knows this, if I know what he does, that they would never allow him to get back in there again to continue doing what he's doing. And during that time, Hamas is just going to rearm itself again, all over again. Everyone knows this. I guess what I'm trying to say, let me wrap this up with a clear explanation. Okay, Israel cannot afford to not finish this. And Netanyahu is saying that in so many words and saying he will is continue the war. If he doesn't ever change his mind, this war is going to come to an end soon. And when it does, the ceasefire will be absolutely moot. It will make no reason to have one because Israel will have won. Now, I'll put it into a question form. What do you think is the probable, possible outcome, knowing Netanyahu and the way he feels? What do you think? Okay. Sinwar, the leader of the terrorist organization there in Rafah, okay, is found. Hostages are found and released. That's the end. Israel is victorious. This will be headline news around the world that it's finally over with, making all this moot, all the ceasefire talk moot. So it's imperative that all those that are trying to pressure Netanyahu into the ceasefire do it now, as soon as they possibly can. The reason it's becoming so obvious that Israel is winning. This war, I think, Ross's opinion here, will continue until a time of hostages released, Sinwar found. And that's what's going to bring the war to an end. Would they say peace and safety then? But not necessarily in that order in Scripture. Scripture tells us when they say peace and safety, then the sudden destruction. And we saw in Matthew 24, 42 to 44, where God says more than likely something happening before then, regards to the rapture. So would it be then, and here's the big question, all these ceasefire and ceasefire talks are about bringing peace, which will ensure safety. Can it be that is what Paul is talking about? So if I've made that clear to you, that's pretty much it. That's where we are. We just have to wait and see. It can go either way, because I think Israel's a lot closer than most news outlets are letting on. I think Israel's finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Funny I'd use that expression, huh? Being as all the tunnels in. Well, never mind. Anyway, let's get back to it. Folks, that should be it. You've got the news. You've got what's going on. This is the most important part of End Times Bible Prophecy Scripture that we can see taking place, and it's very important. And we keep an eye on this, and I still think that we're very close. And that 9-month thing is a possibility that we could look at it that way. We'll just have to wait and see. It could happen again before that time. So I'm not saying, backing off that. Several mentioned that you're date setting, and I'm not. I'm really not. I don't mean to do that. Folks, until the next time, next Sunday or something else pops up, then I'll come back here again. Ever so much thank you for your time and your trouble and being understanding when I make my mistakes. Folks, until next Sunday, thank you.